And in other news, the delegates of the government of Colombia for the dialogue table with the National Liberation Army showed their position regarding the freezing of the process. Our colleague Hernán Tobar has the details. Let's see.
The Colombian government made public the confidential proposal it made to the National Liberation Army days ago, aimed at paving the way to unfreeze the dialogue table, which has been paralyzed since the end of May.
There is no problem with making the so-called confidential proposal public. It was proposed to them to make viable the proposal on economic reform that was agreed with the NLA, which was signed as the first point of agreement with the country's business community and the social movement of Colombia to discuss the mechanisms for its implementation. It seems that they are not interested in the subject.
This provoked the reaction of the opposition sectors in the country, which criticized this proposal. On the other hand, the members of the dialogue table on the part of the government assured that the objective is to look for ways to resume the dialogue.
To be able to generate a space in which the social movements, the government, and the National Liberation Army, along with the business community, are present. What is the purpose? To discuss the transformations contained in an agreement that I invite you to read. As topics for dialogue, I ask you to read the axis of the economic model contained in Agreement number 28. Changes can be introduced in this model if there is an agreement in which the businessmen are willing, the government is willing, and the social movement is willing. Obviously, this possibility can be opened.
The head of the government delegation for the dialogues reiterated her willingness to engage in conversations.
The NLA has the possibility and the responsibility now to say how we continue. That is, we always have the disposition. At no time, and we are not going to do it, we have a clear conduct that we do not break the dialogues. We consider that the only valid mechanism to move forward with a peaceful process that is a table that dialogues.
The NLA assures that the government has failed to comply with the agreements, among them the demand to be removed from the list of organized armed groups, as well as the collusion between some military and paramilitary groups in several regions. Analysts expressed their concern about this scenario, but consider it positive that the NLA maintains the unilateral ceasefire.
We applaud, of course, the announcement by the National Liberation Army to maintain the ceasefire unilaterally. We are very concerned that at a given moment the talks have been truncated again, and that once again the talks are entering a lethargy, and perhaps also because it is not very conducive to a process of trust that at a given moment there are secret talks behind the nation's back, as it is said to have been held someday with the National Liberation Army.
A prompt response is expected from the National Liberation Army to restart the dialogue process.
Hernán Darío Tobar, teleSUR, Bogotá, Colombia.